How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about the Steam Deck. In today's video, I've got 3 topics to cover, starting out with the new Steam Deck beta that basically proves I'm a prophet because one of my biggest complaints that I've been talking about just got fixed. After that, we're talking about how Asus made a new dock that's made for the ROG Ally, but would work pretty good for the Steam Deck. And finally, I've been playing the Precinct a lot, and I highly recommend this game on the Steam Deck, so I'm going to give you some tips to get it running great and tell you why it's so awesome. So yeah, if you missed the last video, I'm going to do a Viper reveal at 100,000 subs. A lot of you showed up to subscribe. I really appreciate it. I think I can hit this goal. So if you want to see a news video filmed in my Dodge Viper, help me get to 100K and it'll happen. So yeah, let's talk about this latest Steam Deck beta. They're nip and tucking, getting everything ready to go for the full launch of SteamOS on other devices. And they're finally addressing one of the biggest issues with SteamOS as a whole, which is the overall speed of everything and like interacting with the actual menus and everything being just a little bit slow and laggy. I'm glad they're going to address this. So the way they're doing this is they're clearing up memory, because I guess there's memory spikes when you actually do things like, I don't know, move between different menus. Oh my God, there's a huge spider right there. It looks like a brown recluse, so I'm gonna kill it. I hate killing spiders, but like that's definitely a brown recluse. So I'm gonna kill that mother real quick. All right, the spider's been successfully killed. I can get back into the video. Yep, the Steam beta is out. It's actually improving memory usage. So like when you're moving around the operating system, everything's going to be a little bit quicker. They've done a good job over the past 3 years improving this. This was the biggest pain point. I remember way back to when I did my first video, Steam Deck unboxing. I was like, man, I hope they improve the actual speed of the operating system. It took them a little while, but they not only improved it on the LCD, but when they introduced that slightly better version of the chip with the OLED version, it's actually a lot better on the OLED than the LCD. After trying it out on a desktop, it's like lightning fast. So if they could just get rid of the bloat and optimize the operating system as a whole so that it works a little bit better, I think that's going to go a long way with people, because the Steam Deck, even though they are adding SteamOS to other devices like the Legion Go and the ROG Ally, the Steam Deck's always going to be the one that's associated with SteamOS until they do a desktop or a Steam Deck 2. So you want that to be the shining example of how this works. Like, I read the Reddit, I read Twitter, people are like, should I get a Steam Deck? And people are like, it's great, but like things are a little bit janky. The more jank you can reduce, the more people you're going to get in on the Steam Deck, and that helps us because that lets them dedicate more resources to the brand as a whole. So like there is a point to me saying that it's good that they improve this. I'd imagine these updates are going to be coming very quickly as we get closer to May 25th, which is when the Legion Go S with SteamOS comes out. I don't think I'm going to pre-order one. I reached out to Lenovo to see if they'd send me one. I didn't hear back, but I'd like to check it out. I really only care the most about the Steam Deck at the end of the day. I think it's cool having it on other handhelds, but like that does nothing for me personally, because I like the actual unification of the hardware and the software of Valve making everything. And like, it's cool. I'm glad SteamOS is getting out there. I'm much more interested in how it's going to run on more Valve hardware. Like the Steam Machine that's coming out, allegedly SteamOS is going to run the Deckard headset whenever that launches. That's where my like obsessive interest lies. I just like the Steam Deck, and it's nice to see them putting it on other platforms though, because a lot of the tweaks and fixes they have to do retroactively help the Steam Deck. So we get like downpipe results that are good from them working on other devices. So like Steam Deck owners stay winning, I guess, is the moral of this story. Speaking of other manufacturers, Asus just came out with a dock that's like part of their ROG line. It looks like it's solid metal and it's pretty cool. It's got 2 USB-C ports, but one of them is going to be used to connect your Steam Deck to the dock, and then the other one is going to be used for power. The reason I think this dock is cool though is because it outputs 100 watts of power once it's plugged in, or up to 100 watts. So you're going to have no problem charging your Steam Deck if you're using the dock. And then it also has 3 USB ports, like USB-A style USB ports. So if you want USB-C, you can plug a dongle into it that gives you USB-C ports, or like one of those A to C adapters. Sky's the limit. The reason I think it's cool is because it's solid metal. It's part of their ROG line, so it kind of mixes in with that whole flavor of the Ally and everything like that. You know, their sort of industrial look that they have for all their stuff. There's a lot of docks coming out all the time. Razer released one earlier in the year that I thought was pretty cool. The only reason I didn't pick it up is because they actually fixed, finally, the official Steam Deck dock. I bought that thing for full price, which was close to $100, I want to say, just to get that extra charger, and it was a pain in the butt. For most of the time, time I was using it, but whatever they did recently, whatever firmware update they put out actually fixed it. It works again as a USB-C hub on my computer upstairs. I have my Logitech wheel plugged into it up there. I've got speakers, like my Logitech speakers plugged into it. I've got basically every USB port full on it and I haven't had any issues. And the most recent update I was able to install without unplugging everything. So it looks like they fixed it, but yeah, I know people are always interested in these other docks, so I thought I'd highlight this ROG Ally one. There's no word on pricing yet. They showed it off at Computex. I would guess it's going to be between $50 and $75. Like JSOX is definitely in the cheaper realm. They go from $35 to $50. But when you get into the official manufacturers like Asus, Valve, Lenovo, Razer, those start to increase in price, and generally the build quality is a little bit better. I hope they make a Steam Dock 2 that's actually made of metal and not cheap plastic, because just especially considering how much they're charging for it, I feel like the bare minimum should be metal, since Razer, JSOX, and now Asus are all using metal for their docks. Like, these things aren't cheap, so let's make them more durable, because people are probably going to throw them in a bag. It is a dock at the end of the day, but people also use it as a hub for controllers and everything like that. So add to the durability, right? Like, the case is very durable. It protects your Steam Deck. Let's get that durability up to the dock. Speaking of other hardware, I'm really curious when they're going to start announcing some of this new stuff, like the headset, the Steam Controller 2. I'm really excited about the controller. My main controller is the DualSense Edge, but like, the battery is just so bad on that thing. It's a really expensive controller for how bad the battery is, and I dug my Forza Horizon Edition Xbox Series controller out of my bins in the storage closet over there, and I love the way it looks, but it just feels so cheap compared to the DualSense. I'd love if the Steam Controller 2 was just a perfect middle ground. I dug out my regular Steam controller, the original one, and it's cool. It's just not really what I'm trying to work with on a gaming PC. Like, it's cool if you set up the radial menus and everything, but it just doesn't feel right after spending hundreds of hours on the Steam Deck. Like, the Steam Deck's controls just refined everything with the Steam controller, and now it feels old and cheap in comparison. I know there's a lot of fans of it out there. Don't slaughter me in the comments for not liking it as much as I used to, but yeah, I'm really curious and excited for them releasing the Steam Controller too. But yeah, for the third story, I like to cover games if I'm playing one extensively on the Steam Deck, and I am right now because I am fully addicted to the Precinct. Just for full disclosure, I got a review key for this game, but I was gonna buy it anyway. Like, I had it in my cart. It's $25 and I feel like it's totally worth $25. But then I saw an email that was like, hey, you can apply for codes. So I did, and I got one, so I didn't end up buying it. Long story short, I would have bought it anyway. So like, the review key for free isn't really influencing my opinion here. This game might have been on your radar because it was in a Next Fest and it got pretty popular with its demo. But what it is like the old style GTA games, like pre-GTA 3, where it's kind of top down isometric, but it's fully built in 3D. It's an open world game, and instead of playing as a criminal like you do in GTA, you are playing as a straight and narrow police officer. Like, it's not a game like GTA where you're like a dirty cop or anything. Like, you are a by the book police officer in a 1980s corrupt city. I think it's called like Averno City, and it's actually pretty big. And it's funny, it has the structure of old GTA games where like there's different islands in the city and you like unlock them as you progress through the story, and it feels pretty big and detailed. It honestly reminds me of sort of like Gotham City and Arkham City. Like, everything's got a little bit of a retro flair to it, and I think it looks really good. As far as how it performs on the Steam Deck, it has a Steam Deck graphics preset, which you guys know goes a long way with me, and on day one it worked perfectly. It locks it to 30 FPS. The settings look like, to my eye, the medium preset with FSR 3 set to quality, and on the small Steam Deck screen it looks great, especially since the camera is so zoomed out. I did play it on my main PC, and if you can run it at higher settings, it does look better, but the Steam Deck preset isn't just like the lowest of the low settings where it's so grainy that you can't see anything. It's pretty clear, the effects are there, the resolution is there, it looks good is what I'm trying to say. They did do a hotfix on the launch weekend though that kind of screwed things up. Like, the frame rate went all over the place even though the game locks it at 30. Like, when you were driving around the town, especially at night, or if it was raining, you'd see these like big stutters when you were moving between areas on the map. I messed around with it and I tried using Proton GE 9-27. That fixed everything. It brought it back not only to how it was performing on day one, but to my eye, again, could be placebo or whatever, it just looks like it's performing a whole lot better than it even did the first time I played it. Like, the frame time graph is perfectly flat except for very minor, just single frame stutters once an hour, I would say, when you're moving between different areas of the map. But like, you guys know I complain about stutter all the time. It is not nearly enough to bother me. Like, it has happens so infrequently and it's so quick that like, unless I had that performance monitor up, I wouldn't even notice it. So like if you use Proton GE 9-27 should be just fine. I also saw reports that Proton Experimental fixes the issues that were introduced. So if you got this game and you stopped playing it and you were thinking about refunding it because the performance got worse, really easy fix for you guys there. The way the game's set up is pretty interesting. It's not super rich on content. It has just enough. The whole main story is like taking down 2 big gangs. So like you have a patrol every night where you're giving out parking tickets for people parked on the side of the road, or like, you know, having their meter expired, and there's a handbook. You have to follow the rules. So like you can't arrest someone for littering, right? You can only give them a fine. You can arrest them, but you'll get dinged for it. And you don't want to do that because there's a whole level system that unlocks things like weapons, upgrade points that you can upgrade your character with, your car with, your driving abilities, your stamina, your weapons. You can add an extra weapon slot, and you won't get those upgrade points if you screw up the actual arrests or fines or citations. So it's worth actually reading through the handbook and figuring out what the correct punishment or classification for a crime is when you see it. On foot patrols, you're doing like parking violations, but then sometimes random crimes will happen like graffiti or littering or street fights or shootouts, and you got to like run to take advantage of those crimes. There's car patrols. So at first you start off with just like a regular cruiser, but as you level up, you unlock an SUV, a station wagon. I think you eventually get to unlock like a SWAT van, and there's different benefits to using all the different cars. And there's like a variety of side activities, just like GTA. A lot of them are built around racing. There's like a street racing subplot. Then there's like a time trial subplot. The street racing, you get handed like a sports car off the street, which is pretty cool. And then in the time trials, you're using your police cruiser. Apparently those were like brutally difficult on launch day, but they fixed that pretty quickly. I think they overcorrected it because like I'm lapping people in the street races, and in the time trials, I'm finishing with like 30 or 40 seconds left. So maybe that needs a little bit more tuning. The weird thing is when you go out on patrols, there's like a time limit, right? Like they say 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours. Obviously the game time moves faster. It feels weird to not do your police work and do those time trials or races because they do pass time when you do them. And if you don't do the street crimes that you're supposed to be doing on your patrol, you don't unlock different parts of the city. So you kind of got to balance it, or like pick one night to just do all the time trials in a certain area and just know you're sacrificing some of the XP you could have gotten or new area unlocks, but you at least get XP for the time trials and races. So it all evens out in the end, I guess. The biggest gripe I have with it, outside of the weird update introducing performance issues, is that I can see it becoming a little repetitive, but it's not the longest game ever. Like I feel like I'm about halfway through after 6 hours, and it is very cheap at like 25 bucks. So like if it was a 40-hour game, I could see it being like a Mafia 3 situation where it just becomes the most monotonous, repetitive thing ever. But it just seems like the perfect length where there's enough going on to just keep you busy no matter where you are on the map or what you're doing. And it doesn't feel like it's going to overstay its welcome when I finish it, because I'm like that addicted to it that I'm going to beat it. I'll let you guys know, but I'm feeling pretty good about recommending it at this price. So yeah, I think this is a great game to pick up on the Steam Deck. Let me know if you're enjoying it or if you're going to pick it up down in the comments below. But that brings me to the end of this video. As always, guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and shape on.